live. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy vexyz, the lurking legend, but y'all can just call me Vex. Back with the Eternal Dawn crew again today to talk about the latest and greatest One Piece chapter 1127. If you have not checked that out already, there's going to be plenty of spoilers and discussion about that. But yeah, this is a crazy chapter, and I absolutely cannot wait to get into it with the crew that I got here with me today. We are joined by Joshua Vykthor. How you doing today, brother?
Yo, what's good? I'm ready to talk about this crazy chapter.
Yeah, this was wild. This was absolutely wild. Glad to have you here with us. And then next up, we've got Kube of the Red Sea. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. Excited, Obviously, it was a great chapter for, going through a break week, and we've got like 2 weeks of having 3 chapters, so I'm very excited.
Absolutely. We're going to be getting into everything, starting with the cover page here in just a second. We just wanted to take a moment to tell you guys all in the chat, you're goated. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you check out all the links in the description and support all of our own individual channels and servers and whatnot. And yeah, make sure that you guys are subscribed. We've got another spicy stream coming up Wednesday, and then an interesting stream for next Saturday for break week. But for today, we're going to be getting right into it. Yeah, we start off with another Yamato cover story edition. What's up? We are now joined by NoChillDill. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Sorry, guys, I caught up in those illusions that the Green Fairy was telling us about.
Let me get you thrown on the screen. There we go. Let me fix your reactive. But yeah, we just got into it. Just hit intros, and we are going over the cover story right now.
Oh, well, I've seen a few people talking about there's the size discrepancy between Yamato in the past and Yamato as of current.
I didn't even notice that, actually. That's crazy.
I went to check it. It's true. I didn't notice, and then I did check, and it's true that it does seem that Yamato would have been he's not bigger than Inu, obviously, but not as small.
Yeah, because it's a pretty stark comparison when looking at them side by side right now.
I mean, Inurashi's kind of huge, right? Even not in Sulong form, he's a big old dude, right?
Yeah. Basically, people compare it with some other characters in Wano who was with Inurashi, and that also Yamato interacted with. I remember. I saw the Reddit post, so it was interesting.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see, like we've got a new daimyo, in Wano, which is pretty cool. And I feel like that means that we're also going to see Nekomamushi showing up as a daimyo as well. So I think that's kind of cool. We didn't really get a lot of explanation on like what happened with some of the old daimyo, so like this is pretty interesting to me. There we go, I got you fixed up, Dill.
Yeah, I find it interesting that literally the one person who's curious about this whole thing is Yamato, who is literally a dog mythical Zoan, and is the only other dog there's in Wano that's also seems to be concerned about them as well. And I'm interesting. It's the 2 dogs.
But yeah, I think that it's kind of cool getting to see some of the other scabbards and things like that in other parts of Wano, and a lot of people are saying that like this cover story is kind of dragging. I'm interested to see where it's going. It's not like anything like super mind blowing like the emotionless excursion that we got, like leaving Wano going into Egghead. So this is like, I think it'll shape up something similar, because we are leaving Egghead and going into presumably Elbaf. So I think that Oda's really about to like completely shake shit up with this,
Yeah, I'm also interested to figure out where it's going, because from the previous ones we've had the sort of like tie into what's relevant in the story. I want to see how it's going to get tied into what we are currently doing on presumably LBF.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that brings us kind of right into the chapter. We immediately jump in and see a big fire and some more buildings made of Legos, and some presumably giants in like some like Viking garb and things like that. So I think it's really safe to assume that we are seeing Elbaf once again, which is crazy because this isn't really how it was seen to us in Big Mom's flashback or in the recent Shanks showing before he beefed with Kid. So what are you guys' thoughts on like kind of the setting here before we get like too further into the chat? Like this first panel had me so confused, you know?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this, especially since obviously they put Idrisil, but I think it's Dill and I saw it would be more World Tree and it might, you know, Adam or something else. I'm wondering if in Elbaf, Knack was talking about it yesterday about it, so shout out to Knack Reacts, that, you know, the Idrisil trees connect to 9 realms. What if there's like 9 different cultures living in Elbaf and Lego could be one of them?
Lego Heim.
Like from Big Mom. Yeah, Lego Heim. Yeah, but yeah. But yeah, and so basically in Big Mom's flashback, we got maybe a hint on one of the oldest one, you know, because also it was a flashback over 50 years ago, and maybe other those ones just evolve a bit more and different, and one of them went more Lego Heim, as Vex says.
I'm sorry, that's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is something Elbaf like adjacent, and I think that like maybe like the true Warland is maybe up the tree, or like, and this is like maybe there's like barrier islands like surrounding it or something. I don't know, but like part of me is like, are you sure? Is this really Elbaf? You know, like, so I don't know. And then there's the whole hallucination so going into the chapter, like I wasn't really sure if what we were seeing was what we were really seeing, which we kind of get a little bit of a hard confirmation that this is more or less reality later on in the chapter. But part of me is still like, I don't know, because we were talking in the pre-stream a little bit about how it was strange seeing all the toys when we first showed up to Dressrosa, and we really had no idea how that all made sense until much later, and it was a twist that I don't really think anyone totally predicted. So, I mean, I feel like this is going to be maybe something on that caliber.
Yeah.
So to carry on what Kube was saying about Knack Reacts, one of the goats that we have a part of our community, he had said that it specifically looks like Midgard of the 9 realms of what we've seen so far of presumably Elbaf. Is Midgard, because it's right in the middle of the tree. You got the tree still going all the way up, but you also still got the tree going way down, which that is the realm of the average group of people for Norse mythology. Like Midgard is where everyone kind of collects together.
Yeah, it's
But also
interesting.
we saw Shanks in that port town. Yeah, it was right next to us. That was normal. And also the Big Mom flashback. They were made out of Legos.
Yeah. It also gives me a vibe of, you know, obviously the other tree is supposed to be there. And we have the other tree, we know that its location is in the Eve tree, that is on the red line. And there's 2 different, I mean, look at the people, the red port are not the same people who live on the highest point, which is the red line, you know? So it kind of makes you think of, you know, maybe it's a similarity to that, you know. Those are the people who are living just... because also Elbaf is part of Warland, but Warland is a region. They could be like, Elbaf could be part of another set of, you know, islands or, you know, land that just people don't talk about.
Yeah, there's
so
so much...
like that. We're seeing a part of it. We're just seeing a part of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is there's so many different, like, and it especially kind of alludes to it when they're referring to, oh, we should tell the sun god, whereas we specifically saw Oimo and Kashi and Dorian Brogi recognizing Luffy as the sun god. Maybe there's like a division between territories or of some sort, and like factions between the giants that are formed here. And obviously that kind of goes hand in hand with when we first met Dorian Brogi. they were locked in like an eternal conquest, you know, 100-year, you know, skirmish. And so it being called Warland, I feel like that would be like something that's very appropriate for that as well. Is that like maybe there's like the more Shanks aligned side of things, which is not all Legoified, and then there's this other half, you know, where stuff's a little more unexplained, possibly. I don't know. Oda could really pull anything out right now, and I'd be like, okay, sure. Yeah. Like, but it's always weird and wonky at the start of a new arc, like when we, you know, got the reveal of who Lilith was, and they were just like, I'm Vegapunk, and we were just all kind of like left there on that first chapter, like, sure. You know, I guess, like.
But yeah, it's like yeah, and also I've always said that if you look at also the episodes of Shanks, especially in the anime, but because the manga didn't make clear, everyone on that island is only wearing drip that says Warland on it. So like I said, Elbaf could actually be like a region, a heavy region, a little bit like Wano, you know? People talk about the flower capital, but there's other regions that most people don't really talk about.
And speak of speak of the Knack himself, and he will appear. It's him in the that's him in the chat right now. Everybody, make sure you go check out Knack Reacts. He's checking out Jujutsu Kaisen and probably going to be checking out, I think he said Frieren soon, which I'm super hyped for.
And
I am also super hyped for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be hype, dude. Like that's crazy. But yeah, he said he can't stick around, but he loved the chapter. Glad to hear it, brother. Thank you for showing up. And yes, everybody, make sure you like the stream. Another interesting thing here. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, I've been talking about, you know, the toy thing, which kind of makes you think of Wapol, who became a king toy maker, and he looks for trickery. I'm wondering that comment. We need to report this as a great Sun King. I'm wondering now if Loki's been acting like he's the actual sun god. The sun god. That he's been claiming for years that he's the sun god.
That's what I think, is that he's used some sort of illusion to convince the people of Elbaf that he is the sun god, and that they've just accepted it because it lines up with the timing of the winter solstice and the summer solstice as well. But where the Straw Hats are arriving at, we don't really have an actual, like, it's not close enough to any of the solstices to actually have an impact in which one it actually is. It's actually closer to lining up to the summer solstice, as opposed to the spring equinox, which had already passed while they were resting and recovering on Wano.
Oh yeah, because like, didn't a Viver card basically confirm we're like April-ish?
The raid was specifically March 17th, but we know that the Straw Hats were recovering for almost 3 weeks on Wano post-raid. And then we had about a week and a half travel time between Wano and Egghead. And then we had like 2 days-ish, because it's the end of one night and then the beginning of the next day of Egghead. And then however
2 more
long
days
it took them to travel.
It said like 2 days, like last chapter, I think. Before we got the Nami, you know, panel at the end of last chapter, it said like it was 2 days since, and that's when we started getting like the Lafitte stuff and figuring out about Barto. Well, the Barto stuff was like a month back, but yeah, like it said last chapter, I believe it was 2 days of travel time. So yeah, it hasn't been. It's got to be sometime mid-April right now, like in One Piece time.
That's the same thing I came up to whenever I was doing the math for, is like mid-April to almost the end of April, but it's still not close enough to the summer solstice. So are we going to see the Straw Hats watching the summer solstice with Loki participating as the sun god, and then Dory and Bragi are just going to be like, no, he's not the sun god. What?
Yeah, that's interesting.
He is, and it points to Luffy.
I'll even one up you. Shout out to Polypede Works in the chat. What's good? But maybe it's not like a solstice or like something like that. But what if we see like an eclipse, and you know, this like really feeds into the whole like silhouette piece that Oda loves to do so much, and we get like, I don't know, because like it's been a minute since the moon was like integral in the story. You know what I mean? So like I think that would be really interesting.
You know, actually, so if you guys are saying I didn't realize that it's early April. It's crazy because that's
Early to
that's what
mid.
Usopp's birthday is.
Yeah, his birthday's April Fool's. Yeah.
It's about mid-April right now.
Yeah, damn. So they reach out around the same time that Usopp gets a birthday. Just
Convenient. Like, but no, I think that's really.
I think not.
I think one of my favorite takeaways from this chapter is we get a mention of the felling of an ear god. And we get the reveal that is a large, gigantic rabbit. And I think that is confirmation to me that Carrot will show up on Elbaf.
No.
And
Actually, the opposite. I think that means that we will not see Carrot again in the story because the ear god has been defeated. The ear god is no longer present in the story.
No, but hear me out.
It goes to show without reason that there would be no reason for Carrot to show up.
But Elbaf is now in need of a replacement ear god. So I'm thinking that she shows up here.
She's already got her own role.
I mean, Zunisha can just chill here as well. You know, the giant elephant, giant cats and rabbits and bees, it'll fit right in. But like what I'm thinking is if Carrot shows up here and takes over, she becomes an ear god for Elbaf and doesn't become a Nakama. No, I'm trolling, but
imagine if Zunisha pulls up. I'm scared that giants like Dorian Broggy would see Zunisha as a challenge to try to put it down. You know, their whole thing is to take out huge animals. The bigger it is, so
I'm not worried about Zunisha. Yeah, like I think that Zunisha could take
I think so too.
In a one-on-one fight, bet on Zunisha. That's all I'm saying. But I actually had some other Zhao parallels that I'll bring up a little bit later on. But like what for the whole intro bit before we get to see Nami proper, was there any other things that you guys like thought were interesting about the very beginning of this chapter before we get moving on?
I'm gonna say this again. It gives me the vibe of Drum Island, especially the ear god thing. You know, those Lapins makes you think of the Lapins who were basically just before they got to the castle, they had to deal with it, Luffy and Sanji in Drum Island. So that was the only thought when I first read the chapter. So that's interesting. But
yeah,
nothing more.
Yeah, also about the beginning, like the people from the first panels, like compared to the Lego houses, like they look like human size from what we see later with the Lego studs.
True.
Like this could be a human village or something.
Yeah, I think it's left a little bit ambiguous, and like I don't know, with scaling, it's always been interesting. Like we saw that panel with all the Gorosei and Emmett in Egghead, and like I was just like, there ain't no way that Emmett is actually that big, or these guys are all dwarfing. And it's like, it's really interesting to me. This is kind of the arc where Oda needs to nail it, you know, and be pretty consistent. Unless there's like some Alice in Wonderland vibes going on where like people are getting shrunk down, which I remember we talked about that maybe I think 2 chapters ago. But it's really interesting to think about like what could all be happening here. Also, what the heck is a stinger mole? That's what these like little bees that are falling out of the sky are. We think that's just from the smoke from the fire, or like this one has like a big bump on its face, like it just got walloped. So
I mean, it could be just Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji beating them and
Just-
then falling off. Yeah, falling from the castle.
They're taking out everything on their way to the castle.
yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I just know that like bees and smoke don't really mix, so I didn't know if like Oda was also going for like partly that.
I mean,
But yeah.
the bump on their heads could be from where they impacted on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly. But then we see the outer shot of this massive Lego castle. This thing looks so cool. I'm not even gonna lie. This looks crazy. It's called Big Stein Castle. The trees are giving me Minecraft vibes, but like I really mess with this design. This is like a really cool style castle here.
And I won't lie. It did at first, especially with the name. It made me think of, and Vex, you're gonna love me for that. It made me think of Thriller Bark, especially since there was a whole Frankenstein
I didn't say
concept in
it.
the castle.
I didn't bring it up.
No,
I
I'll bring
didn't
it
do
up. I'll bring it up
it.
But
I
the
could
word
have
that-
brought it
the
up
word
like
that has
4
Frank-
times already. I didn't say it though.
No, that was on me, But and then we have the first part of the name Frankenstein with Frankie already, So I just found it very interesting. The name of it's an interesting name for a castle, Big Stein Castle.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
curious
it's
on more of it.
it's interesting the way that he chose to draw it. I know some of these like little speed lines on the edge of the panel are just to like emphasize like this is a big deal, but like there's also like lightning coming out of the top of it, and it's like, does this castle have hockey? Like, what's going on?
No, that's from Nami. That's from the very next chapter.
From the next
no, no,
panel.
chapter.
You're right.
Using her climate attack.
Yeah. It's funny. Like before, like I kept scrolling, I was just like, what is going on here? And then like I know also shout out to Tainted Marth. These clouds have like a little swirl in them, like so I think that was like a interesting little detail. Because that was in one of his more recent videos. He was talking about like the way that Oda has drawn clouds differently and the significance of swirls, and 2 of these clouds look like they have like a perfect little devil fruit swirl there. So definitely go check out that theory.
And there's something that also caught my eye with the castle, and I looked, and some of the buildings have the same thing. So if you look at the walls, the pillars, those like Lego, the Lego rounded thing, for Legos all the time, it's also similar to that mad ship. The same way we saw with Dufeld has on his ship on the cover story, and the same ship that came to Frankie. It looked more holy, but it's the same type of form, rounded in a straight line or up or down, which gives me interesting, what made me think of that.
Hell yeah. So next up we get back to seeing Nami, and we were left on a cliffhanger last chapter at the end there. But we see her doing well, and her and Zeus with the climate attack are zapping one of these stinger moles or whatever. And she shows one of the craziest feats of durability. Like, look how far the weakling trio has come. Like, but she is just stepping on Legos and getting right back up like it's no big deal. Like, I think
I've seen people saying that's the most unrealistic part of this chapter is Nami fell on some Legos and was not taken out for a few minutes.
Honestly. But like that youch, I felt that in my bones. You know what I mean? I think we all know what that's like.
Oh yeah.
I won't lie. Oda could have at least because I'm scared for Nami. I think one powerful gust of wind and some of her clothes can just get ripped off. I'm just saying that he could have put a bit more layer for her. I feel bad.
I'm a big fan of the. I love the drip. It's very plot heavy, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's too plot heavies.
Okay.
It can be too plot heavy.
Bruh. But she makes quick work of this little.
I'll go into detail with you later, Josh. It's okay.
When you're older, but she makes quick work of the little bee, and then we see freaking a legendary Pokemon Shaman shows up. No, I'm kidding. There's like this cute little hedgehog that we find out is like building sized, which is crazy.
Yeah. And I won't lie, it gives me the vibe of Torii Kingdom with Chopper, where there's a problem with the animals. They're being, they have that huge fight, but until Chopper can understand, it's all about miscommunication. And I feel like it only reacted bad to Nami the moment she said it's huge, like it was insulted. It looks cute, and then it hears her say, "It's huge," and then he gets upset. So I feel like they understand.
The panel with when he says that, like he has a tear in his eye. He's shocked.
He's like, I am? Like, no. Like, how could this be? Yeah, that's crazy.
More like got scared because Nami raised the voice more than anything.
Yeah, true.
It's like, you think I'm fat?
Bro. And like this is like where I started to get really interested in like like I don't know, part of me was like, is this like the equivalent of like the toys in Dressrosa? Is somebody like kind of like turning these animals like, or people like giant people into giant animals or something like that, and they're like surprised at what's happening or like what's going on? But like I don't know, it's really interesting. I'll expand on it more in a little bit, but yeah, we hear Usopp's voice and Nami is running towards him, and we actually then see him as she peers over, getting straight up eaten by a gigantic cat wearing a crown with a really interesting symbol on it. At this point in the chapter, I was just like, I have no idea what's happening. Like, this is insanity. This is crazy.
Like, what is this fever dream going on right now? What are my eyes telling me is going on?
Am I on absinthe? Like, that's crazy.
We'll get on more onto that towards the end of the chapter because it fully culminates there.
Yeah, I won't lie. Last arc, there was a lot of Wizard of Oz type of tropes at the beginning. This is giving me a lot of Alice in Wonderland.
Sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
Yeah, I heard them, but no worries, man. They sense the cat's presence in the
Hush,
in your
puppy.
panels. They say, "Oh no."
I think it's really cool because somebody was talking in the Discord this week about Nami getting like the full like Sun Wukong suite of powers, and we straight up see the Zeus extend like little attack here as she goes to try and like wallop and like the giant cat here and save Usopp, which is pretty, like, I don't know, it's just it just keeps reminding me. And then whenever she said that she's gonna fall, I was like thinking that she would like end up like riding Zeus like a Nimbus cloud, like Sun Wukong style. And I was like, are we getting like all of these parallels in one chapter? Like, this is kind of crazy, but I don't think we really got that, you know. But I don't know, it's just really interesting to see that kind of caught my attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that cat looks pissed off. I won't lie,
And
that crown does look similar to that crown we keep seeing in the silhouette of Loki.
well, I don't know
on
what
that
the
cat.
symbol is either, because I feel like we saw a different insignia in the last panel of last chapter. So I don't know what's going
It looks
on.
like a mirror. The symbol looks like a mirror for me.
Well, it's like, it's just jewels, but there's like a thing surrounding it where I'm just like, what is going on here, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like very particular. I also got intrigued by it. It's a very rare image. We're only beginning this arc, so.
And then as we kind of get through, we get some cool like reaction shots of Nami and Usopp freaking out after they fall from a ridiculous height onto Legos, which I'm just like, this is unreal. They have like Charlot's levels of durability feats like at this point. Like, but yeah, we get to what I think is kind of the most interesting part of the chapter, in my opinion, is this cat like goes like Super Saiyan basically and turns into a lion. And I don't know what's going on here. What are y'all's thoughts? Like whenever we see this?
Yeah, for me, I think it's the easiest answer. The cat just ate the lion fruit, the lion's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be, that's an option for sure, because whenever it gets knocked out in a little bit at the end of the chapter, it reverts back to its cat form. So it's not like it's like a human, like we've seen its base form. You know what I mean? So like its
base form was chasing Usopp. And then whenever Nami showed up, it went into like the hybrid form. And then whenever they went outside the castle, it went full Zoan. And then we saw it go back to normal.
I'm thinking it might be something a little bit different than a devil fruit, though. I mean, like that's something that definitely registered in my mind at first, was a devil fruit. But I'm like, is this some sort of like pseudo Sulong thing? And like, there is a curious absence of Chopper in this chapter.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like did like his rumble balls get like spread across? I don't know, but like something is giving me the idea that this isn't quite just a cat that ate the lion devil fruit, almost like what's his name, Stronger, who's like a horse who ate the Pegasus devil fruit. Like maybe this is like just a cat that ate that devil fruit, but what if this was like a monster point type of thing, and the cat wasn't able to like control it like pre-time skip chopper, so it's just like raging, I don't know, like that. Like there's a few different things that like I was kind of contemplating, and I was like, that might be it. I don't know, maybe there's a reason we didn't get to see Chopper.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, personally, obviously for the plot will make sense, but I think it's going, like I said, Tory Kingdom. I think if Chopper was there, hearing the animals, Chopper, just by talking back to them, he would solve it by just talking. Like I said, Chopper not being there is literally, you have to deal with you have Usopp and Nami, but then you have Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy, who sometimes, out of miscommunication, they'll just answer back by just fighting. It's not the best diplomacy with those three. Chopper it would be such a helpful at this situation, So it kind of makes me think that's also the purpose. They need, to get into some trouble before Chopper returns.
Yeah, and so after it turns into a big lion, and we kind of think that we're cooked, and Usopp is just like, "Oh, this is an illusion, right?" Like, and gets completely slapped silly. This is a crazy drawing of Nami like reacting to that, and like I actually thought that this was like the end of Usopp's story. Like for a second, I was like, "No way, this is happening." But we see the monster trio proper showing up and making short work of this lion. Which is really, really interesting. We weren't sure where everybody else was, and again, we don't see Chopper at all. We do see that there's like a bunch of human-sized bones around these two, though, while they're down here getting like stared at by this lion. And these aren't giant-sized bones. These are like the size of like Usopp and Nami's faces, right?
Yeah, and also the combination attack, like it's the same from Alabasta, but they're upgraded forms when they use the on the lizard.
Oh,
like
on that the big
thing.
yeah on the lizard or whatever.
Yeah,
interesting. I was wondering what was going on with this panel where Luffy says Gear Fourth, because that's definitely not Gear Fourth.
Yeah, that's not on his face. Is a very good indication.
Sanji Diablo or Ifrit jambed up his right leg, but kicked the lion with his left leg.
Something's fishy here, but yeah, I don't know for a fact. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody did mention that specifically in the Japanese, it still says Gear Fourth. This isn't like a TCB thing. This might have been like something that slid through the cracks, and none of the editors caught it or something. So I think that'll probably be fixed in the Tankobon release.
No, I think there's a reason for it, and it's tied back in with Loki. All of this is illusions. This is what I was talking about earlier whenever we had brought it up, and I was like, yeah, we'll just talk about it later. So a lot of people have gone through and found there's a bunch of inconsistencies in stuff that happens in one panel, and then in the next panel it's completely different, and that's too much to just be an editorial problem or anything like that, because starting off, the noticeable one at the beginning is Nami in the last chapter had a flower, like little brooch connecting the two pieces of her outfit, but at this chapter it's a square design. Then we have Nami covering her face with her right arm. It has the two bands on it. Later on, we don't see it on her right arm. We see it on her left arm. And then even later on, we don't see it at all. Then we have Nami with a sword, as well as Nami without a sword. Also, they completely don't have Nami's tattoo on her arm. Her former Arlong tattoo that got
Yeah.
converted to be the symbol that she has. On
It's
top
really
of that,
interesting.
as we already mentioned, the Ifrit Jambe right leg and left leg thing. Luffy had no weapon on his back, as well as no straw hat. And then we see later on he has a sword on his back whenever we're a little bit further out. And then whenever we get the close-up panel of Luffy himself, it's now an axe.
Yeah.
Well, that is actually crazy.
So
I didn't catch half of
it's
that.
It's too many inconsistencies for it to be like slipping through the editor's grasp and not being picked up on. This is all intentional, and I 100% stand on that.
It makes me think of, and you're crazy, it might sound crazy, the reason why we see so much Lego where they are, specifically on their thing, is it kind of makes you think that it's a playground, like a game room. Even if you look at the last panel, Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy, it kind of give you the vibe of those, the three average, archetype of warriors you can have in a story, the paladin, the swordsman, the berserker, like those kind of stuff. It kind of makes me think they're it's almost game-like.
All right. And speaking of it being game-like, because I forgot about this until you had brought it up of them in the last panel. Luffy is wanting to share food. Zoro is recommending something that is based on directions. And Sanji wants to cook bugs. Those are all three things that are complete 180s from their characters.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that we have never seen them do before. Zoro said, let's find the ship, find the crew, make sure they're safe. Luffy said, yo, I'll go collect a bunch of food. I saw some back there. We'll all eat good. And Sanji's like, hey, remember there was some bugs. There were some wasps back there. Go ahead and make sure you get some of those too. Sanji's terrified of bugs. Zoro can't tell which direction the ship is, even if he's looking at it. And Luffy never wants to share his food because he thinks that's what a hero would do.
No, Luffy wants to share food with anybody, but his friends, that's all good. I don't see that. I mean,
we've seen Luffy steal food from his friends during Alabasta when all of them were enjoying the feast all of that. Luffy stole the food from in front of everyone at the table.
I mean, it's just, if you think about it, it's also, I do see what Dill is saying. It's the first interaction with all of them. And it's interesting when you go deep in what they're saying. It's weird that it's the first thing that they say when they all meet each other. Because I do think that some of the stuff, they could have said it out of the context, but it's like the first thing they think of, which is weird.
Yeah, I think
it'll be... Hey, let's do this one thing, but this one thing is something that I would never do. You're like, all right, who are you and what have you done with Luffy?
I think it'll be shed a little bit more light on once we get the officials tomorrow and we get to see kind of like how it's meant to be worded, if there's any discrepancies there. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Absolutely. So do you think that Nami is the only person thinking like fully clearly right now, or maybe Nami and Usopp and possibly Chopper, which would be like the weakling trio, the cowardly trio, like actually still sticking to their senses maybe, while everybody else is on some kind of business? Or like, what are your thoughts on that, Dill?
So I don't think it's like a collection of people. I think Nami's the only one that can see the illusions currently, but she's still being affected by them. Like, it's not affecting her decision making and anything like that. It's just the world that they're in right now is affecting Nami, but it's not directly deciding what her actions are going to be. She still has control over that. Like, she still knew that she needed help. She didn't immediately stand up of like, I could take this monster by myself. No, she knows that she can't.
It kind of makes you think, because that's quite interesting now that you say that. It kind of makes you think like more like their emotions have taken over their bodies. Luffy in Gear 4 has the Joy Boy smile on it. Nami and Usopp, for some reason, and if you look, I just looked back at the beginning of the chapter, are terrified. Screamy terrified, to the point that Usopp is even like, dude's supposed to be shooting around those kind of stuff. He's not doing a great showing after what we've seen. But okay, it's Usopp, but it kind of makes you think like their emotions are affecting them. And then Sanji is even more judge-like than an egghead. very serious in that tone, you know. Zoro being organized, you know, being structured in his mind, being focused, which, you know, because Zoro's all about being focused. It feels like their mind is, you know what I mean? Like their mind have taken over their hearts. In a way. Don't know if that makes
interesting.
sense.
I'm not sure what could totally be going on here, but I think that there's a layer of ambiguity because, like, you know, like for a lot of these like first introductory chapters to arcs where it's called like Adventure in the Land of X, you know, like this is Adventure in the Land of Mysteries. There's a lot of confusion, and it's meant to kind of like, you know, hook you in, and it gives you a lot of questions without giving you a lot of like resolutions or answers directly. And it's interesting to me that literally the last text box is like, where the hell are we? And like we don't get like hard confirmation from any like NPC type characters or like new characters, or like all we see is like the Straw Hats interacting with wildlife here. And like we were saying at the beginning here, like it's pretty safe to assume we are actually on some part of Elbaf proper, whatever that entails. But like there's also just kind of like this like lingering question mark for me, like, are we though? You know, and so like if we are in some sort of like dream or like illusion based something, like I don't know, it's really interesting, and I'm not sure quite how to, like, I like the chapter a lot, but with now that you brought it up to me, Dill, with like all these like little minor inconsistencies and stuff, I'm definitely curious. I'm nowhere near as confident as I was before. You know,
you know what it kind of makes you think of? Whatever, not that they're talking, but whatever they're thinking, they're also saying it out loud. Like that comment, which I do like Knack is saying that there's going to be some sort of like because of how Nami's talking badly about Usopp, is going to push him to become stronger. But even that comment of her, wow, someone save me, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji-kun, I'll even take Usopp. And then you hear all the end with the Straw Hats. I'm wondering if even everything they think, they're saying it out loud. They can't stop talking. Everything's out in the open.
I think it's funny that we get a full arc from Usopp in Eni's lobby. Zoro used him as a sword, and now here Nami uses him as a shield. Great character development. Bruh. And can we talk about his drip? Like, what is with these poofy pants? Like, I don't know what's going on.
I'm telling you. Remember last week I was talking about Asterix and Obelix, the comic strip? That is the same type of drip that they wear the Gaelish Vikings.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It's the same drip. If you want to drop in the VC chat for those who are here to be able to see, and I'll get it, but you'll see it's like one of them. It's the same one.
Yeah, it's very, very fitting, but it doesn't fit in with what we've seen of Elbaf so far. But it does hold true to the more actual ties to our real world inspirations for them than
I gotta know
what we've seen from Elbaf so far.
Because Nami brought it up earlier in the chapter. She's like, I don't remember changing. So something fantastical or something very Absalom-esque might have happened there. But then we see Usopp with a full set of facial hair that he didn't have before. So like this it's leaning a little bit more towards the fantastical side of things, right?
Yeah. And also the fact that Elbaf backwards is Fable. Vex, I drop in the chat so you can check. You'll see the pants of the big one is like Usopp's pants.
It's crazy to me. Yeah. Like I'm vibing with it, but like I didn't know how to feel it at first. I was like, what is homie wearing? Like
looks like he's wearing a huge diaper underneath it.
So something about the Usopp facial hair that I noticed is it does kind of resemble the person who introduced them and described Absinthe to them. He's got the kind of like straight pointed out mustache, and he's got the little bit of a beard growing underneath, which we know Usopp doesn't have that.
I mean, this is Elbaf. The moment you step on the island, the full beard grows.
I mean,
I think
why
that'd be
didn't
hilarious.
a full beard grow on Luffy, Sanji, Zoro?
Because they're already shaved.
Okay, there's some stubble. It looks like on Zoro.
That he had.
You know,
Yeah.
but it looks like Zoro has a little bit of stubble here. You know, I'm just saying. But no,
the more you believe in the spirit of Elba, the longer it grows.
All right, then why didn't Luffy get a full face of facial hair?
okay. While we're on talking about the drip though, I don't know why Zoro has these little goggles or this visor that covers both eyes. Like, shouldn't he have like a monocle version of it? Like,
Yeah, true.
oh my goodness.
No, we should have got Zoro with an eye patch.
Yeah.
I know it could have lived up to his statement about One Piece will be ending whenever there's a pirate with an eye patch.
Bruh.
I
But
mean,
I won't lie.
Go ahead.
There's
more
something
like-
that... Oh,
yeah,
sorry, go Dash.
yeah, it's more like eye protection than goggles, like the part of a helmet that covers the eyes.
Yeah, I just think it's
I can post an
funny.
example in chat. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was something that also I was thinking while reading the chapter about the last chapter with it, is also the timeline of 2 days. And now I'm even wondering, we have a Kuma that's not supposed to be active, but for some reason it's acting on instinct, right? Being there with Bonnie. The 2 days kind of makes you think of also Kuma's sending people and they disappear. And they disappear from the ship, and we don't know how they were taken to Elbaf. While the others are still on the ship and still haven't arrived at Elbaf. I mean, they did a detour now looking for them on other islands. But also I'm wondering if, Kuma had a hand of them arriving at Elbaf sooner than the rest.
Interesting. Yeah, and I remember
Yeah.
like it was something that made like it stood out to me last chapter, is that it looked like for some reason Bonnie and Kuma and Lilith were staring at something in the other direction, and Bonnie looked hella
Yeah.
sad, and I'm just like, what's up with that? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And
Before-
Vykthor kept talking about that was his plan. Elbaf was always part of the plan. Egghead stuff we found out was he had to adapt, but could be that there was a plan with the Straw Hats for Elbaf.
Yeah, who knows? I think it might be that we get like more flashback stuff, like in parts of Egghead where it's just like, oh, but this is what really happened, like, so I don't know, people, because we know people love that, but in the community. But before we get too far off of the drip, I had one more question. I'm pretty sure it's unanimous here that Nami's drip is top one, but who what other drip do you guys think is like is out of the ones that we've seen, who do you think has like the most peak drip?
I'm gonna say Sanji, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so cool.
The same.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I do like Luffy because he has like the overcoat that we haven't seen since
Yeah.
the raid, but it's not even like the traditional overcoat. It's almost like it's Corazone's coat, which is the
Ooh.
black version, whereas Doflamingo's was the pink version.
Yeah.
So to me, I kind of clocked that because I'm like, yo, Luffy doesn't normally wear a coat, and especially not one that's like this. Like the one that we saw him wear previously was just like a straight up captain's coat, like the normal,
Looks like Corazon's coat in Lafitte.
Yeah. But what I was going to bring up is like secondarily to that, I got a heavy thought of Garling's God Knight drip from God Valley whenever I saw Zoro's outfit.
Oh, I see it actually, yeah.
He's got the shoulder pauldrons and all that, and like the same dot design, and the only like discrepancy that I found in between the two is Zoro's has like a string to tie them together, but Garling's didn't. Garling's was just a full set piece.
Yeah. Another thing I'm noticing is that Luffy and Nami have like the same little necklace. It looks like
Yeah,
it's
I
like
was
these
gonna bring it
little
up.
like Cheerios or circles or something. Also, does Sanji have two swords, or is this another inconsistency? Because it shows it over his shoulder when he's doing the Ifrit Jambe, and then on the last panel here before we close out the chapter, but right before that, when he's jumping for Nami Schwan, he has it on his hip. So like, what's up with that? Like,
It looks like I think it looks like the same sword. It's just, but it's weird because it's true when he does it. It's not sure with Ifrit, but it doesn't because of the bubble. but it looks like it's the same sword. It's just longer.
Yeah.
It's a very long sword.
It's like a long sword going from the hilt sticks out at his right shoulder, and then it extends down to his left side hip. But
That's
I
crazy.
do like that because of the fact that we saw Nami without a sword and Nami with a sword both in this chapter.
Yeah, that'd be a big ass sword. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I wanted to like, you know, tier list it real quick. I'm glad Zoro's out of the onesie that we had him in all of Egghead. Like that is like the worst drip. And I wasn't a big fan of like Vacation Sanji either, but like yeah, I'm kind of liking this.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Vacation Sanji was definitely better than onesie Zoro. I will give
Bro,
the
and even
Sanji
better
fans
than
that.
even better than onesie Usopp.
Bro.
Yeah. And I am looking at it, and it's kind of weird, but Usopp's pants. Well, first of all, Nami literally they made like a hairstyle for her, so it's like there's definitely nothing off. I don't think like while she was unconscious, someone was just braiding her hair, which will be crazy. But even like if you look at Usopp's pants, the color schemes is very similar to the bees. It looks like it's a pants. So whatever happened to the bees could be something that happened to them. The same ability.
Maybe I'm bugging because even Ghost Train of Thought in the chat says Vacation Sanji is peak. I wasn't vibing with it, man. But shout out to Ghost Train. Check him out on TikTok. He's been stacking W's lately. We love it.
Oh yeah. What's up, man?
But part of this also kind of reminds me of like we saw when we first got introduced to the Tontatas. There was like a layer of like whimsy and like fantasy, and we had no idea what was really going on. They were calling them fairies, and we did get the mention of the green fairy like in the Absinthe recently, and it was like they were like super fast, and like people didn't believe that they existed because, and like we thought for a second maybe they were like invisible, but it's just that they were like really super sneaky. And if there's some sort of like parallel there as well, but this is like kind of an inversion as well, because it could be like giants instead of dwarfs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine the plot twist. They're on the warland, but whatever happened to them, they were shrunk so small that this whole thing looks massive. You know, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It could be also the opposite. You know, instead of witnessing the Tontatas something invisible, they are the one who seem to be invisible to the rest.
Oh, that'd be crazy. And the animals are freaking out, and like nobody else knows why the animals are freaking out.
Exactly. Like
That's
imagine they're all
wild.
normal size animals, but they're just so small.
Like they
Yeah.
could be just more careful giants.
What do you guys think is going on with Chopper though? Like, because we didn't see him at all.
I think what I just wanted to have the original 5 together alone, and then Chopper's gonna come back in the next chapter.
Yeah. No, I'm convinced. We hear those animals screaming. I'm sure Chopper, he would have said, guys, stop attacking them. They're telling you to stop attacking them, but you keep going. Like maybe they're like, you know, there's this thing like the best example is with primates, right? If you look at a primate straight to the eyes while they're looking at you, they will get pissed off. But if you stop looking at them, they'll let it go. Like certain animals act a certain way. And maybe Chopper will be able to. That's what happened to his Toy Kingdom. He was telling the humans, no. The reason why they get upset is because their kids are over there. If you do this instead, they will help you out. And then he solved a war happening between the birds and the humans that was lasted for a century, just by simply translating it. It makes me think of, we hear roar all the time. I'm wondering if they're actually saying, they're warning them about something. And by not listening to them, they're disrespecting them. So they're responding, the animals in the same kind, you know?
Yeah. I was thinking that if he wasn't like somebody who could have potentially been responsible for this crazy transformation that we saw with the cat turning into a lion, maybe that was like a rumble ball and that cat went like Sulong or something. If he's not responsible for that, I was thinking that maybe there's something else that's responsible for those types of transformations. And what if Chopper himself was also subject to that? And if he's like stuck in Monster Point for this whole arc or something like that, or until they figure out what's causing all of this shenanigan if it's not a devil fruit. You know what I mean? So that's I think that would be interesting because he'd be like about the size of a giant. So they just think he's like an like a normal dude, like maybe, I don't know. It's so that's a thought that I had as well, is like, what if he was maybe out of control right now, or if he was, trying to find them and is stuck in Monster Point or something like that. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, it's true, like him being an animal, and like people don't realize it. He's not like, he is different than Rob Lucci. He's an animal who became human. So it could be that because of his animal gene, whatever it is, he might be impacted more like the animals, not like the humans. Or he might have a mixture of both, Monster Point with a weird drip, Imagine he becomes Monster Point Kaido, where Kaido's closes in Monster Point.
So all I imagined whenever Vex was talking about what could happen to Chopper, I just imagined that scene whenever Chopper goes into Monster Point just to attack the Straw Hats. Like, not like the full Monster Point, but like the buff point almost. Like, I don't remember which one it's actually called. But he just hops on and starts pulling their legs almost like he's doing the walls of Jericho to them from WWE. You guys know what I mean.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that it could be something along the lines of like, it would have been too convenient to have Chopper here because he could just speak with the animals, but I think there might be more that Oda's cooking with that. And I'm a little bit interested is also like, if this is some sort of like illusion, like if it's like some sort of like drug induced thing, that Chopper might have already like, if this is like some Inception shit, like Chopper's already like out of this layer of the dream or something. You know what I mean?
Wait, that made me think. Chopper probably didn't even drink. Which was weird because Luffy wouldn't even drink.
Yeah. Luffy's drank before. It's like he's been confirmed to have drank before.
Also, I think Chopper, like, remembering one way they had to share sake cups with Jinbe, and it said that they saved that for later. All the stories.
Also, in Dressrosa, sake cup, Zoro, Luffy, and Usopp were the ones who drank with the Grand Fleet, for sure, if I remember correctly.
No, Luffy never. Oh, yeah, Luffy didn't drink.
Okay, so it was Zoro and Usopp.
Like the underling cup. He said that this is essentially just an alliance between us, and then kind of set the cup down, and Zoro took it up and was like, all right, I'm more for me.
Yeah, and Usopp as well. Usopp was next to Zoro. I remember I said, oh, look at Usopp being a great guy as well. 3 days in the chat, guys. The pirate
huge
queen
shout out to the navigator, the crew, the queen of the pirates. We love you, 3 Day. Hope you're doing all right.
And also, Luffy can be easily influenced by friends and around him.
Yeah,
like,
we've seen it before.
Also.
He just like kind of like goes with the flow sometimes, like in certain like reaction
and
moments.
Of course, he would drink with the giants.
Yeah. I think also Oda at the time, he was just pre-time skip. He was making him drink milk because he was 17.
Well,
he was
he's 19 now, which is in
adult.
Different cultures above the legal age to drink. But it's more so that Luffy doesn't like drinking. Like as we saw in pre-time skip and a few times post-time skip, he chooses to have other beverages rather than just walking around with alcohol like we've seen Zoro do, or like we've seen some of the other notable pirate figures do. And that's why I was like, well, maybe Chopper wouldn't have drank either, is because Chopper is inherently younger than the rest of the crew.
Yeah, I think he's like 16.
17
in human years. Like,
so it's young.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 Day brings up an interesting point, is that they were maybe kidnapped by like the giant kid or maybe Loki's daughter, and they're being like played with like dolls. This kind of gives me like you guys ever see the Indian in the cupboard?
Yeah.
It's a classic. Like that kind of like style of like of like a fantasy, like I don't know, it's like it's like maybe this is like some Toy Story stuff, and the Dressrosa and the, I'm gonna say it, don't get at me, Kube, though, but the Thriller Bark parallels here are also a little bit interesting to me. Like it's just really cool, and I have no idea what to truly expect. This was a chapter that really didn't give me much to go off of, like theory wise.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that.
Yeah, but I think with what Trudy is saying, and us talk about, they're the ones being much smaller. If the stinger moles are those bees that we saw at the beginning, the giants or the humans who are there, they see them as small bees. But now we use the word enormous. Huge. And it looks massive compared to her. If you look at the bee that she just destroyed, it's like twice her size. So it kind of makes you think they're the ones who might be smaller.
Yeah, and the fact that there's like the bones down there where Nami and Usopp got thrown makes me think that like smaller, like normal size humans, but like non-giant beings possibly have like fallen for this type of trap, or it might just be like whimsical, like play to whoever's at like at the root of it, you know what I mean? But like it seems like this is something that's happened before to less fortunate individuals of a non-giant stature.
Yeah, and don't forget, Hody Jones in Fishman Island was talking about a world where, in his worldview, humans would be underneath them. I'm wondering under Loki, there's part of Elbaf where basically humans are just, they're treated like Celestial Dragon streets, you know, people that they deem beneath them. Not going to use the S word on stream, but you know what I mean. Type of thing. With the Loki side, which would be interesting.
Interns.
We never had that storyline. Yeah. Yeah. Interns, yeah. If I use the words interns, yeah.
I did want to bring up a quick joke. This is how you know that the Eternal Dawn ourselves aren't personally an Elbath, because the Elbath Vex would never bring up Thriller Bark.
Oh
you
my
know?
god. That's
it would have been
crazy.
an illusion. And we would have all just been, all of us would have been mentioning Thriller Bark, and Vex would have been like, what arc is that? What, where?
Now
Where's
listen.
that? What are y'all talking about?
Kube is the one who opened the floodgates. I was showing great restraint. but
Oh, I know. It's just part of the memes.
But I don't know. I think it's like really interesting, and I think like the beginning of Thriller Bark, when we still had that layer of mystery and we didn't know what was going on with the zombies and the terrain and like just like the locals and things like that. We got a bit of a division between the crew, and there was the weakling trio split up from the rest. And I think that similarly, we're going to get a really, really big showing here from Nami, Usopp, and Chopper. In more of like not so much like, I don't know, like for me it was really interesting because when you are first, you know, brought to Thriller Bark, it's like actually these kind of menacing things, and you're just like, what is going on? And we're freaking out constantly, and like there's zombies, and there's like lions with human faces, and there's like a Cerberus and stuff, and then the rest of the crew comes in, and they're just like making a full laugh of it. And they just completely dog walk all of the things that were like really menacing to the weakling trio, or the coward trio, whatever you want to call them. And so I think that we kind of got a little bit of a parallel to that here, because she's just like, how are you guys just taking this in stride? Like, you know, because they're just chilling. They're fine right now. So I feel like there's a little bit of that like parallel as well. And I'm here for it, you know?
Yeah. But
I think with the division of the crew, the reason that we haven't seen Chopper yet is, unfortunately, he's with the rest of the crew. And I know it's weird to have it divided up like that, but it's the East Blue 5 and then the Grand Line.
I won't lie. I think Chopper is with them on this adventure. We just don't see him yet, because it gave me all the vibes of Drum Island. And this was the arc where Chopper was introduced, and they had to climb up to the castle where they met Chopper. And it was through the whole Nami. So, I mean, you know, it's two different ideologies. So I have nothing to say that I might be wrong, but I think maybe, you know, we're going to get to Chopper afterwards.
Yeah.
Maybe
I've seen a lot of people talking about how the East Blue 5 and Chopper were the ones we didn't see last chapter, so that we would all assume that they would all be on the island, and the parallels between that being like the East Blue 5 and Vivi were the ones who saw Little Garden in the first place, but we didn't have Chopper at that point yet. So I think it makes a little bit of sense for Chopper to have like a delayed introduction to this part of the arc, whether he's on the island somewhere just like the East Blue 5, or whether he's, you know, still back at the ship or something. Like I could see it making sense either way. You know what I mean?
And Nami was the first interact with Chopper, and when she met Chopper, him and Kura told her that she was attacked, most likely in the island she was, by an ancient insect.
The
Right now she's
Kestia
being
bug.
attacked by an insect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, dude. You know what? Dude, congratulations. Remember that name, man. I'm impressed.
I've done a lot of research on stuff from like there's not a lot of information that we have that's like hundreds of years old. But you know, that's like something that I made sure I committed to memory. And in like my One Piece D&D stuff, like that's kind of important as well. But I think it's really, it was Nami who was passed out and was potentially having like her own like fever dream while the rest of the crew was in reality. And so maybe it's like a inversion of that, where now Nami is the only one with like the clarity of like the reality of the situation. Everybody else is in this like fantastical like daze. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I kind of like that.
I can see that.
I really do like that.
And also because of her gift, her abilities to sense weather. She just has to sense, you know, she can literally, if I even look at the clouds, she'll look at the clouds, sensing that something's off, like a sixth sense. So I wouldn't be
she
shocked.
starts off in an area where she can't see the clouds because she's trapped in the castle.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. But one of my thing is like she's, at least from all of them, she has that spatial awareness, that natural spatial awareness. So I'm wondering if it makes her basically see through the BS, you know, a bit, but not as good as the others. Not as bad as the others, maybe. But I do agree. Her being in the castle might also limit it.
Yeah, there's another thing that kind of caught my interest at the beginning of the chapter, is they were saying like with the fire off in the distance, like they're like, what's that smell? So do you think that this might be some sort of like hallucinate, like, or like you know, if it's like a combination of like the green fairy, like the absinthe, and like maybe like some other like intoxicant that is like making people kind of go mad or something like that, or like, because what, I don't know, we're not, I haven't checked out like other scans or anything like that, and the officials aren't out yet, so I don't know if that's exactly how it was worded, but they made sure to note something about the smell of the fire, which is weird to me.
Yeah. What if they're burning the absinthe?
I kind of thought it was just them cooking the rabbit, but like, I don't know, like,
I definitely thought that was a case, because Luffy was like, yeah, we already took care of that one. Like, that one was pretty good. And they did say that they grilled it up earlier.
yeah,
So
but
it
the timing of because I don't know, like one of the giants, like later on after, like, because they say like, what's that smell? Like almost immediately, it's like the first panel, right? And then pages later, somebody's like, oh yeah, also the ear god was taken down. So it's like, this is like old news. So like, I don't know why they would say what's that smell first if they were all already in the know about the rabbit being taken down. So like, that's why I don't know if it's really that, but that's like, I don't know why else they would bring it up.
Yeah. Also, now that we're talking about, you know, them being smaller in that regards, I'm trying to look from the island images if we can see the castle from afar, which it doesn't seem to. And it has the word Big Stein Castle, and it's really zoomed in. So I'm wondering if the castle isn't as big as it's supposed to be. Like, it's more like a, you know, a smaller version, like a model castle that they're inside it, you know, and they're much smaller in it. Because even they call it the Big Stein Castle in an island where everything is giant.
Yeah. So we do have a point of reference for it, and it's seeing at the end of the chapter, where right above where Nami's freaking out of asking where they're at, we see Big Stein Castle, because we can see the whole punctured in the side from where the cat and all them jumped out of.
Oh yeah.
And we see that they're far away from like the Yggdrasil, which obviously it
No.
doesn't look like they're that far away. But where the giants are at the beginning of the chapter, they're closer
that's
to the Yggdrasil tree.
Okay, yeah.
So it's
Okay,
like
that's
they're
why.
a little bit further away from that. So it's even further of a distance for Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro to go from over there where they were cooking the rabbit to all the way over here at the castle.
Yeah, it's really
honestly.
interesting. I don't know, like something doesn't seem right to me about like this cat wearing this like jeweled crown. And that's why I was thinking, like, are giants being turned into something else? And like, yeah, when it was taken out by the trio, it reverted back to cat form, so we would assume that's its base. But like, I don't know, like, is this like, it's wearing a crown that just gives me like some other like sense of like what else is going on here, you know what I mean?
It might
Yeah.
just be Loki.
I feel like that would be weird if we just took him out in chapter 1 or like, you know, like 0.5
I mean,
of the arc or something, you know.
It's not like he would be eternally knocked out, but it's the concept of now that there is a reason for Loki to be against the Straw Hats.
I think it plays more into the fact that there's something way bigger going on here, and this is just like a small microcosm, like if this was just like a dollhouse, like a little like facsimile of the world outside, and that's not like the real threat. That's just like this version, like this playhouse's like version of a king or something like that. I don't know. Like I just, there's a lot that makes me like wonder, and I don't have anything like solid to really like cling on to as far as like what ideas are flowing through my head. So that's just like, it's something that like confused me. So I don't know. Like, I think that this is, yeah, like I'm leaning more in towards the like dream side of things, because it's not an illusion necessarily, because Usopp absolutely got smacked. Like,
Yeah.
but it's something like, I would say like a dream or something. So I don't know.
So what I want to bring up is after Nami and Usopp fell out of the castle, we get the transition panels of like, this shows that time has passed. But there's a panel of just straight darkness. And then the only one that we see unconscious is Usopp. But Nami's already sitting up, staring at the cat that is now in front of them as a lion. So it's like there's a displacement of time, but the displacement of time is coming from the aspect of Usopp, who's still unconscious.
Yeah. I
We
won't
gotta-
lie that it's kind of weird that they're all jumping around it while Usopp is looks to be unconscious completely. Zoro, Sanji, it's out of character, especially for Sanji. Zoro, okay, you can let it slide. Maybe he's too focused. But Luffy and Sanji did not even have a care in the world. Like they don't even see Usopp being bleeding out. You know what I mean? Completely knocked out.
So that's what I was going to bring up, is because we've had Usopp in the past fake like he was unconscious to get out of a fight, or fake like he's dead to get out of a fight, for lack of a non-demonetizable word. He does this in an instance where he thinks that the danger will go away if they sense that he is no longer of this world. And as soon as Nami goes to try and move him, there's no response from him. But Nami picks him up and he immediately retorts back saying, "Hey, I'm not a shield. Don't put me in front of you. I tried to act like I was already gone so it wouldn't attack me. Why are you making it attack me?"
Yeah.
I don't know. What if this is like a video game, like, and Usopp did actually unalive and he just had like another life, you know, like, because I know you could take that panel as like a joke where she's just like, oh yeah, when Usopp died, I thought it was all over. Like, what if he actually did? And like, I don't know, we've seen Oda play around with stuff like that, like in the nothing happened moment, because everything ties back to Thriller. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Yeah.
But like Oda confirmed that Zoro was actually unalived right there, but he just got lost. So he like, like, so I don't know, maybe like, and we've seen with Brook's devil fruit as well. Like maybe there's like some other type of thing going on here.
I mean, to be honest, Usopp is the most immortal character more than Brook, because if we're accurate, there's at least 3 moments where he should have been killed in the story. Unalive in the story, like Alabasta, Wano, and I think there was another. Well, I'm sorry, Dressrosa. He should be a cripple after Dressrosa.
Oh yeah. I mean, during the raid, he had his skull fractured.
Yeah,
that's true.
And continued on like it was nothing. Didn't get any milk, and just continued on like it was nothing.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because it's like the One Piece cure-all.
It's
like
the panacea. Yeah. Like,
yeah, it's what is able to fully restore Luffy's teeth after he lost them during Whole Cake, and repaired Brook's skull, except for the portion that Brook needed still to open. Like, he had the full crack across his skull, but after that point, he was able to still open it up and take the poneglyph rubbings out, and still, because I'm pretty sure that happened before he'd even got the poneglyph rubbings, so he was able to open it up and put the poneglyph rubbings in there as well.
Well, yeah, he had the tone dial in there before. But like, I don't know. So something that ties to like Luffy's like new epithet as the sun god and somebody who bears that devil fruit. Spoilers if you haven't checked out Roof Piece yet, but something that like I thought about, I was like, what if like half of the island perceives like one sun god, presumably Loki, as the true sun god, and another faction give or take half of the island perceives Luffy as it. What if this was a situation where imagination can run wild if you're like bearing that title, and if like half of the land is like Loki's vision, and then if Luffy is the cause of a whole bunch of this wacky shit, and like like he fought in giant animals for like 2 years over on Roskina, and he was like, I don't know, like part of me is just thinking like, what if like this is kind of a downside to Gear 5, and this is where Luffy has to like learn to kind of keep his imagination more on rails for like some sort of objective or part of this arc or something. But I was thinking about that as well.
I mean, yeah, I think maybe it might be connected to what they call Elbaf, the opposite of Fable. Like they might be, something, that's what they call Elbaf as well.
Yeah, and so I mean, it might be island wide, but I'm just thinking that there has to be some sort of major significance between there being 2 sun gods present in the story right now.
To go along with your point, we have the quote from the physicist Willie Cairn. Everything that humans can imagine is a possibility in reality.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's through the beliefs of being able to convince his people that they see him as the sun god, but it's from the reality of the world that Luffy is the sun god.
Yeah, it's really wild. Yeah. And like, it's even crazier when you think about like that someone's freedom could cause like enslavement of a whole like faction of people. And there's also like another kind of like a sun god that's back on the ship still, because Bonnie is able to like go into a Nika state. So I don't know, like if we're gonna like get like a little bit more layering and like depth to this, and like if it's like when you can reach that level of, and it might just be tied in with Conqueror's Hockey, it doesn't necessarily have to be tied in with like the sun god thing, but like I'm thinking that like because of the name Fable, backwards, like you were saying, Kube, it's like something about this place similarly to when they first showed up at Long Ring Longland, how they were able to like stretch and wiggle. If something like that is kind of like affecting this terrain.
Yeah.
And it's all just imagination.
Yeah. This also could explain. I've always said that it has to be. There's something about Usopp in Little Garden. During Broggy, by talking to Usopp, they saw him as like someone who could be as a great warrior just by hearing his stories. This could be connected, you know. Maybe like Elbaf, the strongest people in Elbaf are the biggest believers, you know. They're just big believers. Anything they hear, like legends, they'll be open minded about it, you know. Sword War of the Sea. Oh, it does exist. Shandora, the sky, Shandora, the City of Gold. Oh, it must exist.
The craziest thing about that is that we know that there's another instance of Elbaf we've seen in the story, only a glimpse though, and it's not through Big Mom's flashback or like through Shanks's most recent appearances before reaction piece and all that when he took out Kid. It was checking in on Saul. And Saul is somebody who has possession of ancient texts. So what he believes is more factual and more aligned with ancient kingdom stuff than probably anybody else other than Vegapunk or Robin on the planet, like, or like Sukiyaki maybe, but like, so I don't know, like this is really interesting as well. Like, where is Saul if he's supposed to be, like, if this is Elbaf, you know, and who was that other, we still don't know who that individual from Silhouette piece was a couple chapters ago. So I don't know. It's like, there's a lot here that's like making me feel like this might not actually be Elbaf.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll say this. I'm not sure for Elbaf. I'm pretty sure they're close to Warland. That's pretty sure, obvious for me. But Elbaf, I'm not sure, for sure. It's like you said. It's the more we talk about it, the more dude, I feel like I'm a conspiracy theorist right now.
This is such a crazy like for us to go on break week after this as well. Like I remember when I first caught up and everyone was like putting out like crazy ideas on like what Luffy's transformation was about to be because Gear 5 had not yet been confirmed. I caught up on 1043 and I was checking out like all the resin videos like for the resin fruit and like I don't know, it's like it's crazy to think about like what other people are about to cook up during this break week. You know what I mean? I've been out of commish. I got taken out by a migraine earlier in the week, so I wasn't really a part of a lot of people's live reactions. And so like I read the chapter when it came out and I've read through it a couple times today to get ready for this stream, but I still really have no solid ideas. So I'm super interested to see what the rest of the community has got to say.
Yeah.
And on that note,
It's really
link in the description for the Discord if you guys want to share your thoughts. You know, if you're watching this in the future, if you're here with us now, go ahead and leave us some love in the chat. But if you're seeing this in the near future, join the Discord. Come tell us what's up.
Yeah. And it's like quite interesting because I want to be sure, but the fact that you mentioned the Saul and you know, legends and those kind of stuff, I find very interesting because if you remember correctly, this week, you know, I do believe some anime episodes could link up to the chapter. He does a break week with this chapter, and this episode is supposed to be the Ivakov talking about you know, the King Norona from 800 years ago, making some lore about the ancient kingdom from 800 years ago. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some breadcrumbs in the anime episode that might, you know, give some vibes of Elbaf as well.
Hype. Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. I didn't notice it before, but there's also like in the second shot we get of the world tree, and you can see the castle, like a profile of the castle. There's a flag on top of it, which like it's like the symbol from the crown again, and like I don't know what that is. Like I don't know what's going on there, you know, like because that it I can barely see it, but it definitely looks different from what we saw on the wall last chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes, honestly, I never thought of that, but there could have been a reason why the Dorian Bargy left. Like, what if they're wherever they are, or let's say it's connected to Elbaf, what if there's like a sort of civil war brewing over there, you know? They're fighting for leadership, and someone is claimed to be the sun god. And maybe Dorian Bargy are one of the very few people who don't believe that he's the sun god, because the way they talk about Luffy. You know, like, you know, it's another kingdom for Luffy to save in a way.
Man, I just had another crazy idea. I'm looking at the clouds in the same panel that I was just talking about when we see the world tree. And I was like, why aren't the clouds, like we've seen like with Giant Jack, clouds are like wrapping around it. And like, if this is a tree that is that tall, and we've all been kind of thinking for some time now that it might be like another path up into the Sky Islands. Like that's a pretty common theory. Why are no clouds in front of the tree? And it got me thinking, is this like another Laboon situation where this is like a painted sky? Because they were just talking about like, did they get eaten by a fish last chapter, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
like
interesting.
this is like, it's weird to me. And like that's something that I'm kind of stuck on now. That maybe some of these clouds are ones that Nami just generated when she used the climate attack, but like if most of these are just like painted on and this is like the inside of like another island whale sized like fish or something, and like there's so, you know what I mean, that's just, I feel like why would he mention it if not? So I don't know, that's kind of stuck in my mind now.
What you're saying is, like, let's say someone, like, if it's actually Elbaf, I'll say this could actually be inside Sheep's house, the current Sheep's house. That would explain all the toys, you know, all those, you know, the way the animals are as well. If, you know, could make sense, you know, and it's maybe instead now it's giant kids who plays there.
That's wild.
And they use the humans as props, as real props, which is dark, really dark, but you know.
Well, yeah, and they called Caramel the Mountain Witch, right? So like it like this kind of like goes in with like fairy tale, like Hansel and Gretel and the Wicked Witch kind of vibes as well. So yeah, like that's really interesting. Like we're not in Elbaf anymore type shit, you know?
yeah. And that's true. We're not in Elbaf anymore. Luffy, click your sandals 3 times to get back home.
So it only took us 1127 chapters for One Piece to turn into an isekai, but we got there. Bro.
But listen, honestly, guys, I'll say this. Now it's very clear with this chapter, and for everyone in the chat, people don't realize that. Regardless of it, we're starting the Usopp story of Elbaf lore that's been foreshadowed since Little Garden. So I'm excited on this arc. Regardless of what we get, you know, Oda's been teasing us for so long, so I'm curious on how it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped for it if that is the case, but like I said, like I just don't know. I'm not fully convinced this is Elbaf, and it feels also really weird that we only got like, I know we got a lot of off-island interactions all throughout Egghead, but we got one chapter in between like Egghead and Elbaf, if this is Elbaf. And I don't know, like it was a pretty like quick transition from Whole Cake into Wano, but outside of that, I think almost every single other like major post arc has had a couple of chapters worth of information, right?
Yeah.
So this seems strange to me, although Egghead has been kind of breaking the mold the whole time, because we saw the Red Line and Kamabaka Queendom and Sphinx and Impel Down and like all of these other places and stuff like that. So it's I mean, we even got like a little glimpse of Elbaf itself. So like I can understand it, but I'm still like, I don't know. Like, are you sure? Like, and I feel like Oda's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, we won't get in between that much in between arc, because now we are getting that mid arc where like we saw with Egghead.
Yeah. True.
It doesn't need to be like, yeah, between the islands.
I mean, Egghead was all about all about truth, everything. And there's a sort of theme that was in common. Maybe this arc is all gonna be a trickery and illusion, literally Loki, Loki being the god of mischief.
Yeah, it'll be
What's
kind
real,
of like
what's not.
a parallel or
that's right.
inversion of Nolan the Liar.
Exactly, yeah.
Because we had Giant Jack then, and so like the whole obvious parallels between Giant and the Beanstalk, and then now we have this giant world tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see that completely. It's a very honestly, it was a great chapter. I think it was a great chapter for break week. I was happy they didn't like do the crazy cliffhanger,
Yeah.
But yeah. Other than that, you guys have any prediction? I mean, I'll be honest, I have no prediction for the next chapter. Really don't have.
I don't
hope
know where
we-
we go from here.
Yeah, I hope we see Chopper or touch back on the rest of the crew. I would love to see Robin's Elbaf drip. I'm just saying that, but I don't know. I'm really curious. I think we might still potentially get some post arc tidbits because the whole crew isn't here yet. So this could be like a tease, and we could still go see what's going on with Impel Down or like anywhere else in the world and then get back to this. But like I don't know, it could literally be anything next chapter. It's wild how when Oda gets it, I literally thought he was pulling everything and the kitchen sink out of his bag, all Egghead, and then here we are and he's completely surprising me again.
Yeah.
Part of me kind of hopes we do still see some more what's going on around the world.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know. Like I think that whatever Chopper is involved in right now is also going to be super important. We have a Vegapunk on the ship with us, and we still don't necessarily know like what's going on with Punk Records proper and with Area. So like there's a lot of stuff that he's got cooking. We still never touched back on Sphinx and saw what was going on with that side of things. There's a lot. It could be literally anything,
Yeah, I agree. Especially with Sphinx, I've always said that. Sphinx literally ended with a crazy cliffhanger. Marco not answering, we didn't see the answer of Marco to Baku's request to go save her son.
And y'all know me. I need to see what's up with Moria. He was just mentioned, but or Neomads, or like there's so many different things that like we can focus on, even like the big mom pirates, if there's gonna be like a Totoland civil war, like if Sparrow goes back over there, and like I don't know, like even with Cross Guild, we've seen the rest of the Yonko recently. We haven't really seen anything from Buggy in a minute, right? Outside of just like some reaction shots. But we straight up saw Shanks making moves. We straight up saw Blackbeard making moves. Obviously, we've seen Luffy making moves. But what's Buggy doing right now? We haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for me, I think Cross Guild and the Rev is what's going to break the mold in the twist soon. I'm going to get a reveal of it. I mean, they're literally making their moves, and Cross Guild is such a dark horse, and the Rev are literally saying, we have been waiting this for the last decade or so. And we're finally upon the moment is here. So two big groups to be very curious on what their plans are really entail. And talking about Cross Guild, since we went deep into the chapter, we did get some live action info this week.
Hell yeah!
Which is what did you guys think of the Crocodile, Mr. Zero, and Miss All Sunday and Chopper? What do you guys thought?
I think
I like that they went for the CGI for Chopper. I think it's gonna turn out very well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like CJ and practical effects.
it gave me like Detective Pikachu vibes, which I'm totally cool with. Honestly, I think that's kind of the way that we were all hoping they might go. But I liked seeing, like, I watched the whole Geeked Week thing, and I'm not really like too into a lot of the titles, but it was cool seeing Jeff Ward get up on stage and like present and stuff like that. And then whenever Matt came out and they had Joe Manganiello up there with him, and they were just like, they were about to go to a clip of Iñaki, and they're like, the future king of the pirates, and instead of saying like Monkey D. Luffy, like Jeff Ward goes in and he's just like, Buggy the Clown, and like I thought that was so perfect.
There's I love
to chant with him, and just all of them went Buggy,
Buggy. That's hilarious.
There was 2 moments that really killed me. Is when Jeff Ward says, you know, obviously we all know who is the best villain in this entire story, and then someone screams Arlong, and he goes with the Buggy laugh. And then there was when him and Joe are having like, who is the better villain, and then Buggy says, anyways, I don't care. Later on, I'll just create a guild. And then Joe says, a guild, that's interesting. And I'm like, oh my god. Oh no, they did their homework. And I won't lie, I feel like the accent of Miss All Sunday fits perfect for, you know, Russian nationality, being in Alabama for the last couple of years. I feel like she had I liked it. When I heard her talk, I said, ooh, that could actually really work for Robin.
Yeah, and I mean, part of being an actor is being able to kind of like, I'm curious to see how, because that's just her normal speaking voice, but I'm curious to see like the portrayal, because I don't think it'll be one to, just like with Joe Manganiello, phenomenal actor, you know, so like I've loved him in a few things, and like, but like my mind always goes back to How I Met Your Mother, when he's like just a total goofball, like a bro. And so I'm just like, I feel like, you know, to get from his normal speaking voice to something that I see as Mr. Zero, I feel like there's going to need to be a bit of a transformation. And like, I'm curious to see his portrayal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I won't lie. I don't know if you kind of saw it, because I looked at the scene of Chopper many times. It is the coloring all around it, the visual all around Chopper. It was perfect for Drum Island. It made me think of that scene with the sakura flowers, that Chopper, you know, when he's looking at them just before he leaves Drum Island, the purplish pink, you know, vibe. I like that when they introduce Chopper.
Yeah, I'm super hype, and like it's pretty evident that Lyra Abova is like kind of a super fan, because you could see like how excited and giddy she was up on stage with everyone, and she's very like, she seems very passionate, and she, you know, like she seemed like she was super thankful for Matt and Oda himself for the opportunity. So I love to see that kind of enthusiasm, although Miss All Sunday is not a very enthusiastic character in that. It's just it's cool to see like somebody's so on board, and obviously, like I said, there's going to be a difference between her real life like self versus her portrayal of the character. So I think that's like going to be like night and day. Like, and I haven't really seen her in anything else like I have with Joe, so I don't really know how her like acting chops are. I haven't seen any of her filmography, but I'm very, very hopeful after this. I just wish that we got a little more from the Chopper moment. Like, I know this is kind of huge because it confirms that like what kind of animation they're doing and stuff like that. And I feel pretty good about the way that the CGI looks from what we got. But I just really wish we would have gotten like a release date, or like at least like a season that it'll like fall 2025. We didn't get anything. And like the fact that there was the leak the day before for the 2 major casting announcements, I kind of felt like we didn't really get much, but this was kind of huge, you know, for people who aren't as tapped into the community, I guess, as we all are, you know?
Yeah. Also, that's the thing, is like it wasn't like it was the fan speculation leaks or anything like that. Like, we've had those out for a while. It was straight up Netflix dropped the article about it.
Yeah, they're
and
like,
then
oops.
they didn't do any they didn't do any crowd control afterwards. They were just like, all right, yeah, we'll just we'll keep with these announcements.
Well, it's crazy because I've been seeing the like before the official post and stuff like the basically like all we ever needed as a confirmation. For months people were like speculating the whole Joe Manganiello like thing, and I'm just like how are people this good at guessing? Like, because like I don't feel like there was like any major giveaways. Like with some of them it's like, oh, this person followed, you know, Matt Owens like, you know, on Twitter or something like that, and like so like, but like there wasn't any like breadcrumb trails, you know, for the whole Joe Manganiello thing. So how were people on this like months ago?
I don't know. Ask Lucas.
We could ask the captain of the Eternal Dawn.
I mean, I can tell you, he tells me all the time. He just talks to when someone he gets hints of someone, he will immediately look at if they recently became friends on Instagram with the cast.
You gotta look at their date of birth, their blood type, their social security. You gotta like.
I think Josh was on VC once with me when Lucas was going through it, and I won't lie, it gave me Gossip Girl vibe. If you saw Gossip Girl from behind the scenes, writing the articles, XOXO Lucas.
It gives me Charlie Day vibes, you know, when it, like from It's Always Sunny.
That's what I was bringing up. It's like, all right, so there's something here. I know there is.
Oh my god!
And I won't lie, the enthusiasm of the actress who was going to play Miss All Sunday gives me the vibe of obviously Emily Rudd when she did her first, you know, press junket, talk about it, all giddy, and as well with another live action, the Avatar, the actress who played Katara, who are, you know, they were both super fans of the show for years before. So I do see what you mean. There's something in their eyes where it's like it's one of us almost. Dill, that's the moment when you say one of us. I'm just kidding.
Buggy.
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 Oh my goodness.
Buggy.
Bruh. But yeah, I'm super hype. And like I feel like there's not really, other than the Chopper one, and then if we get like a confirmation on Ace, there's not really any like other major announcements outside of a release date and a full trailer, right?
No, nothing.
So we're pretty close. Like we're pretty close to getting like I don't know. Part of me is thinking that like we're definitely getting it in 2025, but I feel like there is also like and like Desnus the dwarf, friend of the brand, is like way more tapped in than I am, and so is like the captain of the Eternal Dawn himself, Straw Hat Lucas. They know way more than I do, but I know that Desnus was saying that they usually like it's like probably going to be a Christmas thing. I don't think it's going to be this Christmas, otherwise we definitely would have gotten a date by now, but maybe next Christmas.
Yeah, and also I'm very curious on, especially with everything that happened during Geeks Week, during the event, the way Joe was really into the whole thing, so the whole process. More than, I'm sorry, I thought they would brought up the Smoker actor as well. You know, Smoker does have like a sort of an important role in this part of the story with Lockdown, and I know he's not much there until Alabasta, but still, you know, I thought they would bring in or someone else. So it kind of, or even the Vivi actress. I thought the Vivi actress would also be there on stage. I think most likely they're filming right now, so that's why they couldn't come. But it kind of makes me think of, I think we might get an hour-long situation where Mr. Zero will be introduced before Alabasta. Like maybe he'll actually be there in Little Garden or in Whiskey Peak, shown on panel, you know, with scenes.
Yeah, I feel like they only brought in Matt Owens because, you know, he's the guy, you know, like he's like the one like pretty much in charge of most everything. And then Joe was the host of the actual event himself. And then like Lyra Abova, that was like where she was also announced. Like I feel like they only brought in who they absolutely needed to, because like everybody else was probably on location in South Africa already, and we knew that they had planned on doing more with season 1, so there's a chance that they might have already had some buggy scenes shot with Jeff Ward for Logtown back then. So I don't know.
I mean, the fact that also we know that the Vivi voice actress, I'm so used to because of the anime, the Vivi actress has started her filming, so she appears at the lockdown. So it could be that they already got done with lockdown, so now they're in the Grand Line portion of the story. So that's why he could have easily be there.
Yeah, I feel like they had to have gotten a pretty big head start with Logtown because they were anticipating that they were going to have a 10-episode season with season 1 and that we're going to be able to cover Logtown. So I feel pretty confident in that, but I mean, I'm not one of the super sleuths who's over on the live action Discord who's like, but I don't know, like there was that big bubble thing that we saw that we were anticipating is like Laboon's like the inside of Laboon and stuff. So like if they've already seen that on set and stuff like that, then I'm led to believe. I mean, I know they don't film in order, like there's like a full like broken up sequence to this, but like part of me is believing that they had a good chunk of Logtown already done.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Right. It's honestly, I'm really hyped with this season 2. Especially, I've been really looking at the thing, and I think they did what I was hoping for. We won't get the Alabasta Island arc yet. It'll be most like season 3, which I'm happy because people complain, but in the East Blue, like most islands was what, 1 volume or half a volume. Alabasta is 4 volumes.
Yeah, I mean they confirmed that. Like we got that message from Oda. Like we're only getting to Drum Island. Yeah,
it's true. I forgot that message. You're right.
So that was like,
detail,
that's from the source. That's like from the he fought for that. Like, and Matt too. We got like him posting on social media saying like he really will. And I think it's for the better because for me, season 1, as much as I did enjoy it, and I think they got a lot right, it felt rushed. It definitely felt rushed. And part of it is because they had 2 whole episodes shaved off, but like part of it is also just because I feel like they wanted to, they had to like, make a statement, make a, prove that this show was going to be as popular as it was. And now that the fan base has supported season 1 as much as they have, and One Piece is more popular than ever, I think that the filming company and like all the production companies and everything involved are willing to give it more time. Obviously, I don't think they're going to go with like Toei style pacing, but I think that it would benefit from having a little bit more. And like I can't stress this enough. They did so good with their attention to detail. I just think that there is a little bit of like a toning down of how fast paced it was that could very much benefit, especially this part of the story.
Yeah, and honestly, and I think I'll down that hill. I'm convinced that with the 2 episodes that were removed because of that, they had to basically do a stitch the stuff they had in Arlong Park to make those 2 episodes. Because I'm convinced of it. Most of the scenes of Genzo and the Straw Hats were removed because I've said that between 7 and 8, like look at Sir Village, you kind of see the synergy between both episodes. Same thing of Baratzi. There's something like weird that happens. 7 is good, and then 8 feels like for some of the characters like Genzo, we're missing scenes. The way they're interacting.
We completely didn't get Hachi, and like I feel like in Syrup Village, like we got almost nothing from Usopp. We know who he is, like we know his name, but like it wasn't quite there for me. Like I feel like it was definitely more rushed than I would have hoped for, but still compared to pretty much literally every other live action that I've seen, they did a phenomenal job. Exactly. I'm not gonna like I really do like season 1, but I think that with season 2 there is the chance, and it clearly Oda as well as Matt have fought for the opportunity to make this something so much grander than I feel like it could ever be if it were rushed like it felt in season 1.
Yeah. And I won't lie, Matt being he's the one project I know he was part of, that's why he met Jeff Wards, was the one MCU TV show that I love is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was goated, so I do trust him in that regards that he'll keep his eye on the prize.
Did you see his shirt while he was on stage too?
Yeah, dude, it had me dead.
He said stop live action
doing it."
remakes.
Yeah,
That's
it had
so
me dead.
funny. Like, what a troll. Like, I love
Yeah.
that though.
yeah.
That
No,
was
honestly,
phenomenal.
I'll say this. I think we're very lucky that we had someone like Matt Owens who's a huge fan. You know, I will say this. You know, I'm pretty sure that he's been on the story. You know, he's older than me, so I'm sure he's been basically even older when he started One Piece than me. I was just a kid when I started. I was 9 or 10 years old when I first started reading One Piece. So, and the fact that he's also very talented in that industry, like we really struck gold. You know, at least it could have been Dragon Evolution. You know. Dragon Ball Evolution,
what?
which is
I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's
You're speaking
at least
Poneglyph,
Dragon Ball Evolution. Yeah, at least it's not as bad as Death Note. Death Note was the worst.
bruh.
I never
But,
quit on a movie so fast.
I'm just happy that I'm so confident in the crew and the team and like the actors and everything. Like I'm not at all worried. Like there were small little things here and there where I was just like, I don't know. And Chopper was one of them. And although I do wish we got a little bit more, after seeing what we saw, even if it was just a snippet, I'm not at all worried about anything with season 2. It's going to be fire. I can't wait.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be. Yeah, and I won't lie. I'm very curious about the actors who were Mr. 2, Mr. 3. Wait, was Mr. 2 casted? Mr. 3, well, Mr. 3, Mr. 5. I know the Mr. 5 actors, but I'm very curious on the Baroque side.
Oh yeah,
Because
we still need Mr. 2, don't we?
Yeah. Because
Ooh.
he does appear after Drum Island. So if it's going up to Drum Island, like they could do an extra thing, or if he might be only in season 3.
I think he's going to be season 3. Yeah, like I don't think we're getting that right now.
Yeah, or you know, this is okay. I'm gonna share it to you guys. I said yesterday on another VC. You know, it's my dream for how they ended season 1 with Smoker, and everyone's saying, "Oh, who is that evil character, that next villain, or stuff like that." I want them to pull the same style with Barto, with Mr. 2, Bon Clay. So that people who don't know about One Piece will say, "Oh my God, he's the next villain," and then when he's introduced to Bon Clay, everyone will love him. That would be such a great move. Yeah, make him seem like he's ominous, like a villain.
Did we get a Miss Golden Week, or am I just forgetting it?
I'm not sure if we got. I know we got the cast of Mr. 3, but I don't remember Miss Golden Week. But yeah, I'm gonna look quickly.
Yeah, so there's a few more announcements that we need before we get anywhere towards like a full trailer or an actual release date. But this was huge, and it was really highly anticipated for a lot of the community. And I'm not like a big Netflix guy, like people who know me know that, like but like it was cool to like kind of see just like the vibes about the night. Like everyone in the chat was like screaming for One Piece, and that was freaking awesome. And then there was like some of those like fan submitted like art things that the crowd and like the audience all got to vote on, and One Piece took it home like twice. So like we love that. So it's like it's just so fun to like you forget just how huge the One Piece community is sometimes. You know what I mean? Like.
So I'm looking now. There's Netflix made an article a couple of days ago putting all of the season 2 cast announcement. Miss Golden Week isn't in the list. So I don't know if
that's gotta be covered like soon. Like
yeah, man.
That might be alongside the Chopper reveal.
Yeah. Also, like Miss Golden Week is only relevant in one episode. Mr. 3, because Mr. 3 does last, so it could be like if they're changing some stuff in season 2 of how it really happened, it could make sense that they already announced him. But yeah, I do hope we have a Miss Golden Week, because you can say what you want, she does have a purpose on the whole garden. She's like one of the few people who manages to stop Luffy from fighting without even fighting herself.
I think we'll definitely get it with how true they tried to be to the source material with season 1 for a lot of things. Yes, there was some condensing of settings and events, but I think that it wasn't anything harmful. It was mostly just beneficial, like adaptations, so that it was easier for like the flow of a live action show versus an anime, something where the scenery and things like that are like displayed out in real time and not just drawn and stuff like that. So I think I don't think they're gonna like deviate that much from the source material to like omit like another full character. Like with Hachi, there's still an in for him later, like down the line, you know what I mean?
But poor Mumu, he's really out of the story. Dude had one chance, Arnold Park, and he didn't even get his time to shine.
They're like, we spent all of the Sea Beast budget on the Lord of the Coast. That's all we got. Like
Yeah. But this one part of me is convinced that it was another reason why Smoker wasn't. They skipped over lockdown, obviously for episode size, but also I think they also got a lower budget that they were expecting, and I think for Logias it would have impacted at least the budget to a little while. Because I think that increase of budget is the reason why they went for this route for Chopper, because they had to have at least an increase of budget, and their first budget was $100 million. So they didn't announce how much it increased. They just said they got a bigger budget than last time, which is crazy, for live action, when you think about it.
yeah,
But Netflix is putting the money, which is good.
as they should, because like this is something that is absolutely going to have a return on investment. Like however much you put into this project, you'll get it back. Like you know what I mean? Like, and I think that to do the source material and the creator and the fans the service and the justice that it so deserves, like of creating a really, really good end product, something that's supposed to get future generations, not just the current one, but, even more, of the posterity of the fandom, to it's just, it's so crucial that they do this right. And as good as they did on season 1, I'm just expecting, especially after seeing like Oda be so passionate about it in his statement that he released, as well as Matt Owens like fighting for sticking to like the pacing that he kind of envisioned for it. I think that it's only going to improve,
I agree.
But yeah, does anybody else have anything live action or chapter related they wanted to go over and unpack before we end up wrapping up?
Yes, so basically, as you know, Dill and Josh are spirit animal of the crew, and they've been casted as Miss Friday and Mr. 13 in Borkworks. The Unluckies. So, give a W to those guys. Josh and Dill's been working very hard for that casting.
Bro.
Huh? Sorry?
I said, sucks to be you, Miss Friday, talking to Josh.
Shut the fuck up.
Bro.
Hey, you already got the dark, brooding atmosphere. You might as well be the vulture, bro.
Oh my god.
But no, honestly, yeah, it's a great way to have a break week. I think this week was perfect. This chapter plus the live action information, and we're getting an anime episode that's gonna be fire with my boy Ivankov.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm super hyped for the episode. That's tonight, right?
Yeah, it's tonight.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Like the last one was big, and they're only getting into like even more goated shit. So I'm super hyped for that. But yeah, anybody anything they want to plug before we call it for the day?
Yeah. As always, check out vexyz The Lurking Legends channel on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST, where Group 2 solos, as well as in the next hour and 20 minutes, give or take a little bit for the start time, like the live goes up, but we always wait a little bit for that. But Group 3, where we're going to be taking down the Hoggins.
Let's go.
And some Marine. Because the Marines want to show up and defend the Hoggins, but the Hoggins are bad people. So
Yeah.
got to enact our own form of justice in this world because the Marines aren't doing a good job of it.
Yeah, catch that on Dire Regulus's channel shortly after we close out. And then the Scarlet Pirates over on my channel, we're actually going to be on break this Tuesday. up and coming, but we will be back in action the following week. So thank you for shouting that out, Dill. I've also got a video that I'm trying to pump out sometime soon, so make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to Straw Hat Lucas for whenever Group 14 returns, and for the next couple of Rambling Addictions.
14.
But yeah, huge vibes coming out from the whole crew. I know Kube, you're working on some spice with that boy Knack Reacts, right?
Yeah, so most likely we'll be dropping something tomorrow, and keep in mind we'll soon be announcing something on the channel that I've been working on. I can only tease, so I'm just doing what Oda does best and teasing. So
the foreshadowing is crazy. But yeah, so definitely check all the links in the description, and thank you so much 3Day for dropping some links in the chat. That means so much. But we've all got some wonderful stuff cooking for you guys. Make sure you're subscribed and have the notifications turned on so you can be there for all of it. Have a wonderful break week. We've got some other crazy streams planned for you guys during the course of this break week, and we're super hyped for the next chapter, obviously. But that's gonna be it from us. Y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all's day.
Cube, you want to take us out?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do that.
And we'll see you all. We'll see you all at the next sunrise. See you guys.